many people make a distinction between non-violent extremism and violent extremism. I think this is not valid. Violent extremism and non-violent extremism are two sides of the same coin. Extremists are extremists in means and ends. They might hold back on the means in public discourse or because it's too dangerous, but once in power, both means and ends will be extreme. So we should watch out for those who are only preaching but not acting extreme, because if they have an opportunity, they will go extreme in all possible ways. That is one of my findings. Personally, I'm a historian by training, make a distinction between radicalism and extremism. Radicalism has really an honorable tradition. Tom Paine, for instance, was a radical in the French and American Revolution. He was not a violent person. Radicals are people who ask deep questions and would like to change society, and they have been involved in violence occasionally, but more often than not on the receiving end. If you look, for instance, radicals of the 19th century, they were on the left side of the liberals. They were anti-monarchistic, they were anti-clerical, and they were pro-democracy. Many of their goals have been realized. Women now have the vote, for instance. So I make a distinction between radicalism and extremism. These are two different intellectual traditions. Well, I mean, it's a little stone in a larger mosaic, and that is what the Marshall Center has been building for many, many years under Nick Brett's inspired direction, bringing together people from the military, from intelligence, from academia, and discuss and explore certain topics of common concern. And the beauty of it is that people that have only open source access and those that have all source access sit together, pull their experience together, and try to come to solutions together. And I find it very enriching coming from academia, but I've also worked for the UN, to see people from different cultures, from different religions, from different professions, intelligence agencies, military, counterterrorism practitioners, academics, to sit all together and look at one problem. I've been here for many years, been invited when I was at the UN, now I'm with the International Counterterrorism Center and with the Terrorism Research Initiative, and I also find it enriching to come here. I myself am director of the Terrorism Research Initiative, and the mission is to enhance security through collaborative research. The other institutes that are part of this initiative have similar missions, and when we come together there's a certain synergy. We also avoid reinventing the wheels, so research becomes cumulative and we get further than we would get individually. It's a unique thing for Garmisch-Partenkirchen to bring people for so many years together. I sometimes jokingly say, if you have so many alumni, you don't need spies, because you just call up old friends and say, hey, can you help me out on this? So as far as I see it, this is one of the most enlightened things the US military establishment has done. It's mainly thanks to Nick Pratt. He was a sort of, like George Marshall himself, a soldier, scholar, statesman, and that's the sort of enlightened leadership that we really need. And the Marshall Center has become a role model for that. So many of those that come from the East and the West and now increasingly the South learn things here, If you see how well things here are organized, part of that is the German influence, I would get, but that gives people an example. Yes, that is how things could be and should be to deliver optimal results. What worries me when you talk about countering terrorism is that the concept of terrorism has been inflated beyond recognition. People, when somebody explodes a pressure cooker, they call it a weapon of mass destruction. If you look how many definitions are around on terrorism, the US government alone has 20 operative definitions. I collected 260 definitions, and it covers, in many countries, even non-violent protest. So, a broad definition is no good. Terrorism should be very narrowly defined as the peacetime equivalent of war crimes, deliberate attacks on civilians, taking of hostages. Then it can be put on the same level as slavery, piracy, and genocide. Something that is beyond the pale. But if we use the term terrorism for all sorts of political violence, even political protest, we are absolutely on the wrong trajectory. And unfortunately, we still see a continuation of this inflation of the threat. That has led to the fact that the UN General Assembly, they discussed it since 1972. They have still not reached a definition. Article 2 of the draft Comprehensive Convention Against Terrorism is not filled in. And that's a shame. I mean, we have a unanimously accepted action plan of the United Nations from September 2006. Why did they all agree? Because the center was non-defined. Each country can understand under terrorism what it wants, basically, and that's not good. We should have a common, narrow definition. And what I proposed when I was working for the UN Crime Commission is take an existing definition, like the one on war crimes, and stretch it to peacetime, and then you're there. We already have agreement what war crimes are. So just take it from the war context into the peace context, and then we can agree.